What's that Pentagon hat you're wearing?
Yeah, that was my old company. That we used to be there every day.
That's
Our
a real.
company, yeah, the company we sold is still there.
Nice,
So,
man.
so I'm still badged at all these military facilities across the country. I can go pretty much anywhere.
What?
Um, but yeah, you come over here. I'll take you. I'll take you on a tour to the Pentagon. I'll take you all over the place.
That would be pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I can escort up to 3 people. So okay. So, welcome to Note Investing Made Easier. I'm Martin Sines, your host, and we're here another week. We have a very, very special guest. I'll introduce him in a minute. If you haven't picked up a copy, my new book, Real Estate Note Investing Mentorship, it's on Amazon. If you punch up Note Investing on Amazon, I'm number 6, soon to be number 1. I'm working it. My other book's number 2, so I'm okay if I bump that one. But also, too, if you haven't done so already, there's an early bird special to sign up for Note Expo. Please, check that out. I hope to see you in Dallas, as well as I'm having a workshop on note investing fundamentals in the DC area on November 30th and December 1st. I have people coming in from all over the country. Matt Kelly has just joined us, so he's always a favorite. We're going to be seeing what Michael Salas has to say. Does he know what he's talking about? Can he even spell note investing? What's going on with this guy? But anyway, so very special guest, Michael Salas from One Oak Advisory. Michael, welcome to the program, sir.
Hey, Mark, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So what's the B stand for? That doesn't stand for Boston, I take it.
Well, Brooklyn, right? Brooklyn Dodgers.
There you go. So what's this? Okay, so we got a lot of Dodger gear going on. You got the towel too?
I do got the towel, man. Here we go. Let's go Dodgers. Go first shot.
So there we go. Nice.
My Dodger club.
I hope you guys do it. So game 1 tonight.
Tonight, baby. Tonight.
So let's kick it off. So we have let's say just use for simple math, 90% of the note investors that come into the space exit after the first year, and roughly 10% make it to the second year and make a business out of it for themselves. So why would you say that is?
Because you have to wear at least 5 to 7 major hats in the beginning. You have to be the guy who's sourcing the product. You have to be the guy who's underwriting the product. You have to be the guy who's probably raising the capital for the product. You have to deal with the servicing and lost mit. So, I think there's so many different, facets to the business. Not many people actually explain that in the beginning. So they thought it was just, I buy a loan from him, I sit it there, and I just make money. And I think that was, you can make some really good money in the business. You have to dedicate a lot of time, and you are kissing a lot of frogs. But it's really called planting seeds. You're trying to build relationships and plant seeds. I think that's really what it is. You can't just go to 1 or 2 conferences and think it's all good. Some risk, some big risk.
And let's just as a follow-up question, there's a lot of different angles to this note business. And how is it, how does someone new find their way through the maze? Because there's a number of different ways they can break into the business.
Right.
How do they break through the cloud?
If you have money, it's a different story versus if you have no money. If you have no money, I did it where I got under the wings of somebody who had the capital, and I knew exactly what they wanted, and I would just go knock on the doors for that specific item or asset, right? Mm-hmm. And from there, you get to watch it from a distance without having to get hurt. And then after a while, once you learn the game and how the rules to the game, then you can jump in there. But for guys who had no capital, I think I can relate to that guy because I had no capital coming in. And that's how I would do it versus trying to pretend like you're an investor, and you really might not have the capital to close if you actually strike a number with that seller. And that's the scary part of not delivering when you say you're going to deliver. That's the hard part.
Yeah. And, there's something to be said with coming in with no capital. I know Bill McCafferty's on here and he's talked a number of times. He's worked at, I don't know the count right now, but last I heard, over 600 notes he's had in his portfolio over the course of time. And he has done it with very little capital out of his pocket, just kind of doing the sweat side of things, the workout on the back end. And, there's something to be said when you put in the sweat versus the capital.
Yeah. We got to clean toilets first. You got to clean toilets. You start at the bottom and you clean toilets. And after a while, you get to go through every step of the process where now you can actually start training people. And if questions ever came up, you can actually answer the question because you've done it before, It's the same formula every single time. It's just a matter of checking off the boxes and doing it.
Yeah. So who would you rather be? Would you rather be the guy with $1 million liquid in the bank, or and more on the passive level, or would you rather be the guy who's sort of broke but has a lot of hustle?
I'll take the sort of broke with a lot of hustle. Yeah, because you're not capped. It's unlimited. Yeah, it's how much you want to put into it.
I would take the hustle too, any day of the week.
Yeah.
And I think that I see very few people with true genuine hustle, and I see more people with capital in the bank waiting for deals to come to them.
That's right. I think so too. I think the hustle, it's either in you or it's not in you. And the reason why I had the hustle was because I had 3 kids, 3 little ones, single dad, 3 kids. You have to grind. I was in the financing part of the world, on the origination side from like 99 to 2008. So that's where I got to learn how to speak with the borrower and try to connect and make a deal. And I think that helps so much now in the note business because, you have to talk to borrowers. It's all about collection, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't pay. They have to pay some way or another.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's one in every crowd. So Ellis chimes in that he wants to be the guy with hustle and $1 million. So let's start with Michael, when he first started with the hustle. Do you want to take it prior to FCI, or where do you want to start?
Yeah, so from 2008, that went from living in Anaheim Hills, which is a nice, suburb over here in Orange County, to having to live at your aunt's house in a bunk bed with your 3 small kids. The market just crushed me, where it was all about just having to survive. And I heard about the paper becoming more available to investors out there. And if you were in Orange County, that was the mecca of mortgage origination. So you either had to learn how to do loan mods or have to learn how to buy paper or broker paper, So, for 2 years going through a lot of time and efforts and trying to put deals together and not seeing one penny, not one deal close in 2 years. It sucked bad. But that was me cleaning toilets,
So hold on, we have to stop there. So we're talking a 2-year point, and what's interesting is you see some folks, they come in and they can't wait 2 weeks before they want to start, pulling the trigger on some note buys and everything else. So we're talking a 2-year period. How much self-doubt did you have throughout that 2-year period? Hey, am I doing the wrong things? Is this not a business?
Well, it was a daily thing because I had to answer to my aunt who wanted $200 a month at least. And that was tough. Shoot. At that time, it wasn't really residential stuff out there. It was commercial. So you had to learn how to go into the commercial world. I mean, that was just, it's crazy. But that was the only opportunity I saw getting out of it. And that was it. I just had to do it. I had to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And so your kids must have a tremendous amount of respect for you because they pay attention to everything. So they have seen you grow up in the space. They've seen you build a business from this.
Yeah, they have. And they get to drive in it every day. Kids, man. No, I think it's awesome, man, because I did show them the downtimes. I explained to them the downtimes, and how it was going to walk through. And they were able to see it as a witness, And when they hear of deals coming now, they just kind of blow me off like, yeah, Dad, whatever. But I'm like, no, did you hear what I said? We're buying it for this much, And it's just been a fun ride for them. I think they know how to put the deal together now. By now, they should. Yeah, for sure.
No, no, that's great. That's great when the kids see, a business unfold, when they see their parents doing business, and hopefully they walk in those steps at some point.
Yeah.
So when you go and post, because you sell notes, right? One Oak Advisory sells notes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go and you post something on Facebook, you're like, hey, I have notes, and you have an air about you. You're very confident. You're assertive. Hey, do you want the notes or not? Stop complaining about no notes being out there. I have notes. Call me. Your phone must be flooded with thousands of phone calls after you put a post like that out.
You'd be surprised, man. Not many people follow up. That's like the one thing I just don't understand is the follow up. And I'm talking even after they've requested, loan information to review. I mean, it's in their hands, and no, I understand it. I'm gonna live by the sword. I'm gonna die by the sword. I make mistakes too. People show me things, and I don't get back to them in time. It happens. You're trying to shorten that time period down, and that's part of the business, and is a tool for anybody out there. Is even the long maybe is the worst, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think to me, it's more of the pet peeve when they fill out a form to request the docs, you send it to them, and then there's no feedback. I'd rather have a guy come back and say pass for X, Y, and Z than just to not even respond. And if you're hungry out there, you'll figure out how to make a deal. Like you'll put a deal together. Depends on what I'm in the deal for, right? Or you're in the deal for. But I mean, if you're really trying to move product, and I like to move product, whether it's paying or not, I think there's certain techniques to be able to see more volume, and any guy can pick that up. You're a buyer and you're a seller, at all times, right?
Yeah.
So, it's more about learning how to chop it up with the guy. There's a couple key elements that you want to discuss, first, like the specifics, but you should be able to do this on the back of a napkin if you have a phone and like Property Radar.
Yeah.
You can make a lot of money just sourcing stuff off of like websites like Property Radar. Unbelievable. It's crazy.
Well, what's funny is like I started doing this in 2013. I'm still doing it with a laptop and cell phone. Whether, I was just working out notes for a living, or I'm now, training and have this group and everything. I'm still doing the same damn thing.
This is the office, man. This is the office right here.
So like, part of me wants to put up one of my signs, take action, when, they're engaging with One Oak. But the other side kind of realizes that now that I'm working with a lot of folks, I kind of see that confidence is a big issue. Why I think some people are not following through with you, and they feel that they don't know something, and that something they don't know is what's going to come back to bite them. So it's almost like that, that's the hindrance versus, them not having the capital, so to speak, or other types of situations.
I think most of the guys in this business, even the guys at the top, there is some spunk. You got, we're headhunters, man. We're trying to make a living, right? So if you could talk to a headhunter and just be honest with them, say, look, I'm a little headhunter. I want to be a big headhunter. What do you have? And let's talk about it. And it's simple. It's either a loan that's paying that you're going to live off the residual, or a loan that you're going to have to make pay or get a lump sum one day, But just, I've had so many conversations with guys who said all the right things but didn't come through. And I've had more opportunities with guys who asked probably the wrong questions, but they actually came through,
Yes.
They were willing to, there was a gentleman by the name of Derek. I just did a deal with this guy named Derek.
Derek's on. He's on the program right now. So give a shout out to Derek.
What up, D?
Derek.
Those docs will be there shortly. No,
Derek, I'm going to have you back. I'm going to have you on the program now. We got to go and we got to go and analyze this deal.
Hey, Derek works from, Derek has a 9 to 5, right? And he's been, I think, studying this business for a couple of years. I was shocked that by the time that, for the first conversation to when he actually funded, call it like 10 business days. I can't see any of the comments. So I have to be completely honest here, right? 10 days, boom. And that was from him having to still take care of the wife, the kids, the job. Yeah. But he was able to look at it and actually look at it over the weekend. Guys, believe it or not, you can look at deals on the weekends, and got back to me on Monday morning, was like, I'm in. Boom, 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 boom. And it was so quick. And I thought this guy had been around forever based off how fast he researched things and got to it. And that was cool to see.
Well, I got to take some credit. He did take the training program. but I'll give you another example. Sean Munoz with New Day Funding. He took my mentor protege program with it, and he has a full-time job in one of the large corporations, L3 it is, and he has a wife. They have a business, a tax business. And he has 3 beautiful children, and he acquired 50 notes in 1 year. Yeah, like good notes that he's done well with. So absolutely. Some people are just, they know how to manage that risk. They know how to just, take the action, but with confidence. And
I think what it is that they see it, right? They see it and they believe that they can take one step at a time and actually get there. And I think that's the cool part is believing they have to see it first. I think if you can't see it, it's like no vision, It's awesome, man. This business is crazy. The fact that you can buy money at a discount, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think that that's something the rehabbers of real estate have trouble with sometimes. They come in, the discounts that we play with are very different than the ones they play with. They're at the auction block, paying 95 cents on the dollar if they're lucky, hoping that there's no mold in the property or what have you. And we're over here, with the discounts we're playing with. But it seems very, I don't know if obscure our industry to some people where they just can't try to peg it when they're always just involved, real estate minded. So do you see that people in the space, especially from your time at FCI, people that come from a straight real estate background having trouble adjusting?
Oh yeah,
in the note space.
It's hard for them just to get their hands around value because value to them is so much different compared to what our value is. They're thinking of what is it worth as is. I mean, same with us, right? But they're thinking I got to spend $100,000 on the remodel, and we're like, yeah, it's worth this tomorrow if I sold it, right?
Yeah. I'm like, how about cut the lawn and do clean out and then put it on the market as is?
Hey, you know what? The day after, I have a friend named Lauren. She's awesome. I met her at like 3 weeks before at AREA. I had taken back a property. I sold it to her because she was a rehabber. And she went through that whole process and now is learning more about the paper side. But man, talking about just being able just to jump. I mean, I see people that are very new in the business jump. And you know what happens? Their parachute opens one day,
Yeah.
And they just keep on getting bigger and bigger. And look like Sean Munoz.
Yeah. Yeah, before you know it. Man, my man. And you know Sean too. I know you know him. Yeah. But yeah, 50 notes in 1 year. I mean, given everything else, there's people that do this full time and don't come up with 50 notes in 1 year. So
for sure.
Yeah, my man's doing very well.
Yeah, he is. He's blessed, man. He's blessed.
So tell us about FCI. You get a job at FCI.
Yeah, man. So FCI back in 2010, they had this new rollout with the website, and it was going to be a trading platform. And I remember the website was like a yellow. It was ugly. But I was like, this place is going to come up because I saw DeadX kind of blow up. I saw Mission Cap blow up. And, a couple other of those broker dealers. And I thought this could be something that blows up in my backyard. So why not try to get in? And, after like pushing, a beautiful lady by the name of May Bakke, she's like the right hand of Mr. Griffith there, brought me in. And we had an interview and it worked out. But I remember my first day, I think I have a photo of the desk. I was so scared. Like, if someone calls and I had to talk about a loan, I didn't want them to hear me because I really didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But it's, you have to learn, man. And it was cool to be able to look at the portfolio of the guys who were calling in to see who's who.
Yeah.
And that really helped me out because then I was able to ask those guys questions specifically, and of course they wanted something from me. They wanted to sell the loan. So if I sell your loan, you're going to give me some knowledge, right? And it was a good two-way street for a lot of investors out there. Yeah.
And I know Giancarlo, him and I formed a friendship,
Yep.
back some years, and I know he went off on his own too.
Yep.
Do you keep in touch with Giancarlo by chance?
You know what? I have not. I think I reached out like 2 years ago, and I hadn't heard from him since, man. He's doing big things, man. I hope so.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. I've transacted with
Yeah.
him, and real honorable. Very good on relationship building, and this was interesting because we have Dave Hauser on with us here, and he put a post out today about just understanding the hustle's real. He said, but not understanding how to have that equate to dollars in his pocket.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good webinar for you, Dave. Just kind of talking about. Mike, so you started FCI, you didn't just work a job. Most people go in and they work a job, right? You went in and you took this as an educational experience. This was going to school for you in a way.
This was like my master's degree right here. I learned the financing side, the origination side, but the acquisition and the servicing and the sales side, that was all new, right? But it was cool because I had some great mentors. So it wasn't like it was just me. I had the hustle, but then there was some awesome mentors that I had around me. And I think being able to walk into like JP Morgan Chase, like my first year into the business, that was awesome, man. That was like mind-boggling how it really goes down. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But then to go back to the guy who only has $5,000 to buy this one note, I mean, I was seeing both spectrums. And I was always wondering why that bridge from Wall Street to Main Street could never get bridged. I know now why, but now, but it took time, right? The guys that are on the street, the one-off guys, we're so valuable to the funds. We are so valuable because we pay that top dollar.
Yeah. We bring closure too. We're at the tail end of the process, and we bring closure for the homeowner. So the per diem stops. We bring health to the communities and everything else. So, when all the flipping of the paper stops, we're here. Dave says two things. He says, thank you for the notes. And he said, are you hiring? So Dave, I think you have to start with cleaning toilets. You
got to clean toilets first, Dave. No, but Dave's on the right path, man. What's awesome? Yeah. I would like to speak to Dave real quick. It's awesome to see this guy with the chickens and the goats in the background talking about this is not a bust. I'm talking. He has a real sincere hustle, and it's so freaking raw that it's addicting to watch. And I don't know if he knows this, man, but dude, I get like almost teary eyed because I see the hustle in you, man, and I think that's sweet, dude. Because like you never want to lose the hustle.
Absolutely.
Never.
Dave took a 2-day workshop with me last year. And the first day he's like, oh man, I wasn't sure if I should have shaved my beard to come to the workshop. He thought he had to come, in certain business attire and, looking that banker part and everything else. And I'm like, oh, Dave, you don't know the players in the note space. I go, some of us look straight up homeless.
Flip-flops and shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all casual. There's no business casual. It's all just casual.
Yeah. Hey, I got an investor who's like right around the corner. I've never seen him in shoes. And this is the guy that he would get dressed up to see, and he would be like, why are you coming in a suit and tie? Like, dude, come on. And it's funny is you have to kind of learn how to play the game, depending on what part of the country you're in. You couldn't wear flip-flops and shorts to New York, though. That wouldn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. I kind of look at it like, I'll cater to my customer. My customer is the borrower, because the borrower is making monthly payments to me. So if the borrower needed me to dress in a suit and they need a picture of that, I'd put the suit on. But since I'm doing it out of a Starbucks or out of my home, I'm not putting the suit on.
No, you're good. And that's what's awesome about this business is you could have everything outsourced and travel everywhere, It didn't matter where you're at. That's the awesome part about this business. You sub everything out.
Yep.
But man, dude, let's talk about FCI one more time.
Yeah, let's do it.
FCI was like the platform that actually came after one major big, was it lowmarket.net? That was a very large site at one time. There were some large sellers on there. And FCI actually put a world together, which was like bridging that gap between Wall Street and Main Street. Mm-hmm. I think it's hard to do that on a trading platform, to vet every deal. It's so hard to vet every deal because not even the seller sometimes knows what he has, right?
Yeah.
But they actually have continued to stay there while other platforms have traded or have been bought and sold and gone. That if a seller goes on there, especially selling performing loans, you could do a great job at selling loans at FCI on a performing side. They got a great buyers list of performers. It's awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know everything on the performing side is cents on the dollar at FCI, but from the investor's perspective, it's about the yield. So if you see if you go and look at it from an annual yield perspective, I mean, you can definitely. I've sold non-performing and performing on FCI, so it's a great platform.
Yeah, it is. It is.
No,
it's time to build out that platform for sure.
So what does One Oak advise? Where do you get the One Oak?
So 2012, I left FCI, and it was just me and a buddy named Aaron, who I knew in high school, showed me this like oak tree as a logo, right? That was like that logo. Yeah. And I was like, he's like, yeah, One Oak, right? One Oak. And I was like, oh. So I just ran with it. Aaron and we both brainstormed on it. But, it was really just me in the office for a long time. And, it's tough to be self-motivated when you're by yourself, Yeah. Because you could easily slack. You could totally slack. Who's going to catch you, right?
Yeah.
But you also can be anybody you want on the phone when there's no one around. So for all the people who get nervous on the phone, like I still get nervous calling certain people. Yeah. So, being by yourself might not be the bad thing. In your room, close the door. And here's the thing I used to do. They don't know this, but I used to record conversations my first year, like phone conversations between a buyer and a seller. And I would play it back just to hear the jargon, right? Yeah. Just to hear how they were going back and forth. And, I was embarrassed as heck to hear me talk. But, man, it was great to hear those other guys speak, so you could always play it back. And I would just study it, I always say be a master of your trade, If this is what you're going to do it well, It's the servicing side is challenging, man. It is challenging. You have to manage people who are getting paid an hourly wage, and you have to get them to communicate to your guy, It's a challenging aspect of the business, but the discounts and the reinstatements, and it's awesome.
You know what? Because you're just a really nice guy, and you would be surprised like how far that gets you with people. People that are seasoned when you're new. Yeah, they'll overlook things, some of the newbie things because they see that you're there, your heart's in it, you're trying, and sure.
I would do the same thing. You would do the same thing if some guy was like, "Hey, I want to learn the note business," and he actually showed up every morning to wake you up. You're like, "Dude, I like this guy,"
Yeah.
So of course you would let that guy come in. He wants to work, he wants to learn. So that's cool.
Oh yeah. Oh, I look for people. I want people to make it. Like, whether they work with me, whether they don't, I don't care. Yeah. That's your call. Just make it. I just look at this country and there's so many people in financial pain. It's unreal. And nobody wants to work a second job. Nobody wants to work over 40 hours. Everybody's, they're tied to, they'd rather be looking at Facebook posts on all these people that are so successful versus going out and figuring out how to create success for themselves. People are just, there's a lot of people just kind of, I don't know, lost. I don't want to be, I'm not trying to be condescending or anything, but I think just, there's a lot of people that need something like note investing to go and transform their situation.
Oh, Marty, it's the hustle. They don't have the hustle, man, right? It's the hustle.
Yeah.
I mean, you can clean toilets and crush it if you became the owner of the company. You can kill it, clean toilets. Same thing with the note side. The best thing I think for a guy who has no money, just getting into it, I would say is partner up with someone who has the cash and is comfortable in buying in certain areas. And if he wants vanilla, you bring him vanilla, okay? So not only do you get to watch him invest his money, you get to see how those deals go out and pan out without having to put any money in. Plus, you got paid to bring the deal to the table. So you can make a living watching other people get successful, and you're helping them get successful, right? But then after a while, then you have your little nest egg, then you can go out there and buy that loan the next time because you're the guy who's been sourcing it the whole time, right? Yeah. So you're going to find it.
Just activity, the motion is so significant. Whether you're brokering the loan and you're making $500 on it, and which is you're not going to retire on it. However, it's more significant that you closed on a transaction because now you can go out and close on 5 transactions, and then you can go on working on 50 transactions. So motion is the most critical thing. I think we agree there.
Heck yeah, man. Straight up.
So you go from FCI, then you start One Oak, and what is One Oak's business model?
To acquire mainly residential second liens on a national scale. Now, we were just focused in California. Now it's more on a national scale because of the product being more available in other states. I was spending most of my time more in the default market in California because I saw, 4,000, 5,000 notice of defaults filed on seconds just in California. So I figured there was enough here. And most of the note guys that are at the conferences would say California is super expensive. So they would stay out of my backyard. Just like if you're a New York guy and if you have your law firm, your attorneys, you could probably crush it because I always hear that New York takes 5 years and it's going to be, you never know.
Yeah. You
can kill it just in New York if you wanted to do it. So you can do it in Ohio, anywhere.
There, and I know, Ali Morstad, she's been focusing, they've picked up a bunch of New York notes and they have good legal out there. And yeah, I mean, you find the niches. You have to be where everyone's not. I mean, that's the only way to really, be unique. And
yeah. Plus having the sources too, right? Having the relationships, those right there will keep you fed during maybe even the lean times, it's a consistent source. So, I have guys that I trade with that, they were like, a one-time buyer every 90 days, and then they became more of a buyer every 45 days. And then after a while, you start just wanting to show them stuff because they're the guy who's going to buy it, and they can close on it quick, and it's easier. Hey, what are they saying?
What are they saying? Wing top flip-flops only in New York. I got to tell you, you know what I keep, and I look like I'm drifting off here, but there's only one thing that I'm thinking about. And I'm thinking you said it about 15 minutes ago. You said Mission Capital Debt X. I'm like, Michael's looking to be the next Debt X or better than Debt X. You're looking to go and see where they have inefficiencies, and you're going to go and crush it to that level. Am I off?
No, I think you're on. I mean, that's what I would love to do. I would love to be able to have like a 5-click sell process. And I think if it's the vetting part, man, that's the hard part. If you can show the investor how the deal looks like and where it's going to go, and if you can paint pictures, man, you'll crush it in this business, man. You can see how the borrower's been 5 times delinquent on his mortgage over the last 5 years. I'm talking like foreclosures.
Yeah.
You can point this out to the investor and be like, look it, based off this. So my goal eventually would be to have it broken down on every loan in my portfolio, and an investor can go see it and crunch the numbers on his own and then buy,
So would you give a projected exit strategy per each note? Because, DebtX now, they'll sell you a portfolio, they're not going to make any claims on it. Yeah. Will you go, hey, I've done a preliminary round of due diligence. I feel like this could be your exit strategy. Obviously, you're not going to go and give them any promises with returns or anything like that, but would you give them some insight that way?
Yeah, I think, well, most of the files, if not all the files I sell now are loans that I bought with my own capital. So it's not like I'm brokering it saying, hey, you can hit a 3 from that corner if you shoot over there, I promise you. It's like, hey, I spent the money, it's gone through my hands. Here's my 2 exits that I think is probably going to go, right?
Yeah.
Based off the past dues and their pay history and their FICO and the LTV and CLTV. But I think it's going to end up like this. And that, after a while, you don't have to be, seasoned vet to know where these files are going to end up going. Yeah. I'm just supporting it with documentation, I guess I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. You see, you get quicker. I've noticed that, a while back, reading credit reports and just getting a picture of the borrower's profile, you just get quicker over time and you can kind of zip through things and it's pretty neat that way. Because I know that some of the folks I work with, they'll struggle on their first tape, 4-note tape or what have you, and doing the credit report. They may spend 5 hours looking at the credit report, just analyzing every character, where you and I will just kind of zip through it and just be like, hey, this person's a hyper consumer, or this person doesn't have any money or whatever the case.
Yeah. Hey, here's the one thing I would say. I wish I could. I want to say it now. Let me just say it, okay?
Yeah.
Pricing. I think pricing is something that needs to actually be defined more on the non-performing side.
Okay.
And I think, for any buyer, I mean, the numbers don't lie. That's why it's beautiful. I was a D student in math, man. Like, very good. Seriously. And I think it's all funny because I'm checking lawyers on stuff. Crazy how this works out. But if you walk down every exit, like if the guy was down 10 grand, so if you reinstated, what's the monthly income and can I live off of that return, right? If he modded at this payment with this down, what does that look like on an annual basis, right? If you went to BK and came up with a pre and post petition plan, what did those numbers look like, right? Or if I sold the note tomorrow for X, but I bought it for Y, what does that number look like? That should be ran through every model on every loan. Now, if it's 100%, 130% LTV and you're buying the second for $1,
yeah,
come on, right? But every time you should run through that model, and I think pricing you could see where you could be aggressive and where you're too thin, right, on a return.
Yeah, and couple those return numbers with what due diligence you've done and what kind of assessment you've made on the property and borrower, and that you can say, hey, this is most likely to happen, or this is so this is my worst case.
Worst case is going to pay me this, though. Worst case, and you can actually look at your investor in the eye and be like, hey, man, if he does pull that, which is worst case, we're going to make this, And are you happy? I'm happy. You want to do this? Done, because the numbers do not lie, man. Unless there's some fraudulent stuff on the file, which I haven't ran across that much. I don't really see that being like, it should be something that gets done. Like, I'll give you Sean Munoz. Sean Munoz is awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Tom Boren, Tom with Aspen?
Mm-hmm.
Those are guys that you can show something on an Excel sheet and you can call them and they can chop it up with you right then and there. They'll tell you pros and cons right then and there. And as a seller, that's what you want all day, man. So if you guys can see eye to eye, everything else behind that should fall in order as long as the seller wasn't saying some ridiculous stuff, right? Everything can be supported by documentation, right? So you should be able to chop it up pretty quickly after getting comfortable with what the worst case scenarios do look like, And that's why you have to clean toilets to get through that process to see that what that does look like,
Well, I think also more, to add on to what you're saying, the cleaning of the toilets is just spending the time reading through the collateral file and just seeing, hey, what's missing, what am I going to struggle with? Right. There's a missing assignment, a mortgage, getting with your legal team and seeing if that's going to be an issue if you buy the note. before you buy the note. Just all those little things too.
Sure.
In addition,
Definitely.
Arun says hello, Martin and Mike, and Ellis is my West Coast brother. He says I can sniff out a future BK pretty well. So he's over there. He's giving himself a pat on the back. You go, Ellis. So One Oak, and I kind of put words in your mouth. I said, hey, does DebtX Mission Capital, is that where you're taking this? So just understand, I wouldn't suggest or where you'd be taking it unless I thought that you were going to hit the highest point possible. I think you're going to reach whatever that top point is for yourself. You're going to reach it. I'd put my money on you.
Thank you, Martin.
Is what I'm saying. So is it starting a fund? Is it starting a fund and raising debt and then going out and buying large, or is it just taking your model and expanding it to the DebtX size?
It's I've had buddies who have spent $100 million and they're owned by their investors. I got guys who do this, like we do, and they can crush it. And I'm saying, like, $300,000 a year, $400,000 a year. That's not bad, man. And that's not really going crazy, right? And that's not having to sell your soul either, Yeah. So for me, I am leaning towards more of the volume if I can, if God willing. But that's just really to actually feed the other guys below me,
I think where a lot of funds are seeing a lot of hits right now is the ones that are paying back their investors, borrowing, taking on debt and paying back their investors 12% a year. And meanwhile, it takes them a few months to buy a note pool, and it takes them a year for it to start performing. So they're not seeing any money back for a good year to year and a half. Meanwhile, they've been paying out, cannibalizing themselves with 12% payouts to investors. And then obviously, the legal Ponzi scheme, it does exist. They take on new investors to pay the old investors, and so that's kind of where I just want to kind of say that's like an example of selling your soul. That's the example of really just, being owned by the Ellis says 12% OMG. Yes, Ellis, there's 12% out there.
What?
So, but anyway, even if it's 10%, I mean, I think the point still remains. But I like what you're saying, in, out, that DebtX, in, out, they get a note pool, they shape it up and get it, offloaded, and they collect their fee and move on.
Yeah, that's just more as a broker, as a broker though, right?
Yeah.
I think there's, you can start off a broker and stay a broker and make crazy money as a broker. There's a couple brokers that I know of that crush it and are known for a specific asset type in the Wall Street world, but as a normal guy like you and I think, I don't know, cash flow is tough, man, to live off cash flow unless you have reserves. If you have reserves, no doubt. But if you're trying to get in there and make your money to build up now, it has to be the non-performing route.
Yeah.
Find it there.
Oh yeah, I hear people all the time. They're like, I'm going to come in and I just want to buy performing notes. It's like, well, congratulations, good luck to you. You can pick up reperformers and performers over the course of time, but your bread and butter has to be with the non-performers.
That's right. That's right.
That's So, do you think you'll touch into commercial at some point?
Well, we purchased a commercial building this month, but commercial.
Awesome. Really?
Yeah.
Tell what type of space?
It was an 8-unit. My business partner is more of the commercial guy. He's owned units and managed them. So, I lean towards him on a lot of that stuff. But it wasn't. We bought the property via warranty deed or grant deed, right? We call it grant deed or warranty deed. That was probably about a month ago. And, we're crunching the numbers and we're like, do we want to hold this? Because if we hold this and get this, up to, full occupancy, I mean, the cap rates in this market, you can sell them at 10 or 12 and you can double, maybe triple the money. But, making $100,000 in 2 weeks doesn't sound bad either.
Yeah.
Just buying and selling.
Yeah, it doesn't sound bad. if you roll it, you got to roll it into something else, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Paying capital gains sounds really bad. Paying short-term capital gains sounds really bad. So, but worse things can be out there.
Hey, Mark, do you think that you're seeing younger guys coming into the space or older guys coming into the space?
I'd say the average is around 35 to 45, young family, and they're at a point where they've been out of college 10 years, maybe 15 years, and they see the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
They see that they're nowhere near what it's going to take to retire comfortably. Right. In this country, and so they're looking around, they're looking for, some relief. However, what I think the biggest challenge for most people is they come from a job where they're working in an office for an employer, and they've just kind of taken, direction their whole life in the workplace. So they're going from that into complete self-employment where, like you said, nobody's watching you. Nobody is guiding you. Nobody is telling you to record your phone conversations and listen to them so you can critique yourself and be better for the next call. So if nobody's telling them XYZ, a lot of them are not doing XYZ because they're just in employee mode. And I say that respectfully.
Yeah, sure.
They're just in employee mode. And it's really what I almost feel like people need, and I'm incorporating this more in my workshops, people need the harsh reality of what it is to own a small business, and making sure they understand that this is a business for themselves that they're creating. Right. And once they can grasp that concept and know they're going to put in the work. Sean Munoz bought 50 notes in 1 year. Yes, but he also had a portfolio of rental properties he managed for years. He also has a small business, a tax advisory business that's in place right now. So he comes from a small business background. I think the ones that do have that background have more success. They have more likelihood of success. But with that said, if you're an employee transitioning into the note space and you're going to do this full-time at some point, you need to be reading a lot of books on small business ownership and kind of what that entails. And no, you have to roll up your sleeves. You have to give up. Here's the thing. You have to give up something to replace it with something of value. Right. So you can't go about watching Magnum PI or whatever shows are on now and having, TV and all this other play activity and drinking beer on Friday, Saturday nights, all this stuff, and then pick up note investing on top of that, plus your full-time job and your family. Yeah. You have to say, I'm going to do this for 20 hours a week, and this is what I'm going to remove out of my life for those 20 hours. Right. Or plan on staying up till 2 a.m., every night. Monday, Friday, whatever. Hey, so a lot of people aren't willing to make that sacrifice. Sorry, Alice, I go on and on, but that's just kind of my thought on it. I feel so passionate that I feel so passionate about people because I have a young family that are just trying to provide for their family, but yet they need the harsh reality to know that there's a lot of work. Some people, when I do the workshop, I'll give them, it's like a gym ownership, right? I can give you a gym. I can give you all the equipment in the gym. I can give you a workout routine, but sometimes you need a personal trainer to go and take you, to the next level. So people need to go and just take this as a very serious measure and not just something to dabble with. And I think there's a lot of people that are still in the dabble mode. Those people always get weeded out.
Yeah. After spending like 30 grand with the guru.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely. Yeah. You have to, it's buyer beware, whether it's on the note side, training side, whatever side there is. So you should be vetting everyone, right? I mean, you vet the sellers, right? You're not going to go transact with a seller and there's one in your neck of the woods that's questionable, you're not going to go transact with a seller if you know that, hey, they've been selling, the same note to multiple people. You're going to stay clear because you've done your due diligence. You vet them. You talk to people in the industry. Same way you're not going to sell to a buyer that doesn't know what they're doing, who's going to be doing collection calls at 12 midnight with the bar.
Yeah.
You're and also the vendors who use the legal team, because there's lawyers out there that will go and encourage borrowers to contest your foreclosures, and they're your lawyers. I know that. I've had it. Yeah, a $40,000 mistake. I'd be happy to talk to you offline. But yeah, so every one of my notes was being contested, and it was the writing was on the wall. So you have to vet the people, the vendors, the buyers, the sellers, the trainers, and yeah, and and then a lot of people kind of get hung up on
Everybody's getting vetted, man. Everybody's getting vetted.
Yeah.
Even your partner, even your business partner. I'll tell you why. Because you might be the guy who has the capital, and he's supposed to be the muscle, but you end up being the capital and the muscle. That's frustrating, right?
Yeah.
Or vice versa. But so you have to vet all the way around, no doubt.
Vet everyone, and you can go to you can go to Pacer to go look them up. You can pay for, you can if you have a partner, you can just mutually agree that you're going to pull each other's credit. Whatever, or do a TLO on each other, whatever the case. If they don't have anything to hide, that shouldn't be a problem. I would say too that, I kind of talk a lot about this. I'm not a big fan of the traditional JV model where you have an note expert matches up to passive dollars and they go out into the sunset. I'm more an advocate of strategic alliances where you may have someone that doesn't mind pounding the phones 200 calls per day, matches up with someone who's an expert in due diligence or very proficient in due diligence. They go out and create a great dazzling team, and then they become an expert consultant in the space and help movement of deal flow, and then eventually bring on the money when they know what the heck they're doing. So I'm kind of like I more advocate that kind of model where soon-to-be experts should be matching up with other soon-to-be experts. They should be action partners for themselves, help each other, get through hurdles and everything else. So Rudy Willis, my brother from San Francisco Bay Area. Rudy, by the way, Bobby is dragging me by my ear back out to the Bay Area in December. So to go see the Bay Area RIA. And I got someone I'm taking with me that's a real dear friend of mine. So more to come for that. I love Bobby Sharma. He's the only RIA I've gone to see this year, and with 4 kids, that's all I'm looking to do in my life. But he writes, switching from 20 years of W-2 to full-time small business ownership is a major challenge. Yeah. No doubt, Rudy, but anything, worth doing. It's, but, I would also suggest, keep the job till, I'll see you in Dallas too. Keep the job till you get, your business systems up and running, and,
for sure.
As I told the Bay Area group, every single person, Michael, I spoke to 300 people when I was there at the RIA.
Yeah.
Every single person in the Bay Area that was at that RIA had a higher IQ than myself. They were the smartest group of people I've ever met in my life. I thought I was on Mars.
Dude, they were loving you though, right? They were like,
yeah. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I was probably like, hey, if this guy, you got a D in math, I got a C- in math.
Okay, we're right there.
So
thank God for those calculators on the iPhones, man. Right? Thank God for the calculators on the iPhone.
Yeah. So you use the financial calculator. Tell me about what you see the successful note investors. What are they doing?
Most of them are lone wolves, man. The guys that I have ran into, it's either a one-guy show or a two-guy show type of thing. I don't see guys from different areas come in and start a business together and like, hey, this is what we're going to do. That's rare. It's usually one guy or two guys together. I'm blanking on the question. What was the question again?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we talked about the 90% of the people, they come into the space and they exit the next year, whether they're, it's a hobby or they don't have the capital, whatever. But you have the 10% that sustain and they're there year in, year out. So what do you think some of the attributes, some of the people you're transacting with that are successful in the note space, what are some of the attributes you see they have?
Well, they're taking the phone calls at like 10 o'clock at night. They're replying back to emails at 1 o'clock in the morning. They're discussing deals over the weekend, getting ready for Monday so they can sprint into Monday. They're guys who, I know some guys who came in and started from like a cold call perspective, and they have crazy phone calls, man, crazy. And they would get a live one, and it was exciting to see because you could tell them that this was going to happen. And they really believed it and actually did it. I have a buddy. Do you know Joey Lee? Joey Lee? Joey Lee, best example ever, man.
Okay.
He worked with me, myself, and he worked with Gerald Lemoyne. And now he's at another shop that people The guy was so raw and so green. And what was awesome was that he would just mimic me. So guys who actually absorbed it, like day in and day out, those were the guys who actually made it happen, that I see make it happen. And some of the guys that I know have went from like mortgage origination, and their very first deal was like a $200 million deal. Crazy, right? Crazy. But that was a team. But those guys swang for the fences and they hit it, right? Yeah. Same thing with us on one-offs. I would love to do one deal and make 40 grand in like a couple months and be like, I did it. That's awesome, right? Plus they always pat themselves on the back for every little thing. You have to be your own coach. You know what I mean? Your own fan, right? From cold calls to, hey, I made this borrower go get the original note and fax it over to me because I didn't have a copy. Woo! Just like all those little things. Those are all things that you have to give yourself some props for because it's a skill set, From sourcing to closing with the seller. It's all a skill set that you have to learn. You have to learn it.
And what you're saying, I'm going to tie it into Rudy's statement about 20 years as, working for a paycheck is I think one of the hardest things to get used to is there's loneliness to this, to being self-employed. There's times when it's not like times when you're there. Obviously you're always busy, right? There's always a million things to do, but there's times when you're like, wow, I just feel really lonely. I don't know. I need a hug. I don't know. But like when you have a W-2, you're at FCI, right? And Rudy's at his job. You have like tons of people, right? You can go shoot the breeze, go out to lunch with someone, early happy hour, whatever the heck's going on. Yeah. But when it's just you in there and you've made your phone call, maybe you struck a loan mod, right? Yeah. Someone's like, okay, I'll pay $5K towards arrears and I'll start making payments every month. And you're like, great, I'm going to email you the loan mod and get it in the mail. And you're like, great job. Then you hang up the phone. And you're like, hey, no one, there's
like no one's
there. Nobody saw
that. Oh yeah, for sure. There's no doubt, man.
Yeah.
No one ever tells you about that part though, for sure.
Yeah. No doubt. Well, so tell me, we're going to close. We always close with this. What are some daily rituals that you have in your life that have led you to the success you've had?
Daily rituals. Well, I try to get before I lay down. I try to prep for the next day's emails. So by the time I get up, I can have a good 2 hours or 3 hours worth of clearance to put out fires that need to be put out. So I think there's a lot of guys that would say, yeah, I've seen Mike send me an email at 4 o'clock in the morning. I think he was just going to bed, And it's like, yeah, I try to knock it out as much as I can in the nighttime. So by the morning you can hit and run. And I think one of the other things too is that they're very visual people. Like I have a whiteboard and I have my goals written down. I got things that I have to get done. Like it has to get done if it's not on the whiteboard, Yeah. But I think the whiteboard and then prepping for that morning So, because the worst thing is like 12 o'clock in the day and it's almost 5 o'clock on the East Coast and your day's almost done and you just started, you know? And how are you not, you know, you got to be more productive with your time. So I think a respecter of time too. I think that's another thing.
No, and that's a great point. That's one of the things I had to get adjusted with when I joke about this, but you know, I was never popular in school, and I was never popular in pick for sports or any of that. But then I write a book, and now I'm popular. So I gotta watch out, because there's a lot of tire kickers out there. So people come to me, you know, this, that, and you know, I love everybody and I want to help, and my heart's always in the help mode. But I gotta filter out, you know, who's serious and you know who's not, and so that's kind of a new element that I've had to deal with or just kind of learn over the course of the year.
And Martin, you're a nice guy, and I think it's probably hard for you to say no. So how have you forced yourself to say no? Like, what do you see in somebody that's a red flag? Like, no, I'm good.
So what the one thing I did, and it's really the reason why I created the Note group. I created the Note Investing Made Easier Facebook group for two reasons. The first one was I didn't like a lot of the white noise in the space. A lot of the folks out there, you know, marketing deals that they don't even know how to vet, and they're looking for investor dollars, and you know, just kind of that nonsense that's out there. And then that's one thing. So I wanted a place that didn't have that as part of it. And the other place is I wanted a place where when people come to me, because people email me daily with just questions of this and that, and I wanted a place where I could just say, hey, look, go to this group. I'll answer your question. I don't mind answering your question, but let everyone else benefit from the answer. Let like the 100 and, you know, there's 4,000 people in the group. Let other people that are smarter than me and may know things more so on that topic, let them answer in place of me, because I far from know it all. And so I just said, you know, it's just kind of the perfect thing. So this group has helped me manage things in my life.
Nice, man. Hey, you're crushing it, dude. I think you're the only group out there that is so, like, I'll be going for like a day off of Facebook, and there's like 10 posts, and it's all different topics, and it's just a great community of people actually trying to participate with, you know, in the success of others. With no, you know, it's just pure like love, man, because there's some really good information out there. Huge.
Oh yeah.
Matt Kelly alone.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Matt, for taking my call. You know?
Yeah, we all owe Matt a great deal. You know, I know Bill McCafferty's on here as well. He's someone that truly cares about the community, and he's just been a great asset. He's a mentor of mine. I know he's a mentor of many people. You can call him, you know, at any time. He's he's that guy you could call anytime. So
good stuff, man.
Amen. So again, you know, Michael, thank you for joining me. We're going to be making a huge announcement soon about the Bay Area. So anybody up in you know, in the California area, you know, because it's only like a 30-minute drive for you, right, up to the Bay Area.
It's like 25.
I'm joking. So anyway, yeah, we'll be up there. Major announcement. The person that I'm coming with is a huge player, and really look forward to it. And Michael, thank you for your time. Please go on after this video. It shows on the Facebook page, and put your information in so people know how to connect with you that are looking to buy notes, that are looking to transact.
Yeah.
And that'll be awesome.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you for your time.
Go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers.
Hey, we're getting one in Boston tonight. Watch.
Beat Boston tonight. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And God bless.
All right, brother. Take care.